Hello, world. Yes. Did everyone listen to Vice President Kamala Harris's economic plan for the future, not for now? It's quite entertaining. Take a listen.
Call her Kamala the Comrade. Vice President Harris rolling out an economic plan that would make Stalin smile by pushing price controls and masking it as a corporate price gouging ban. But we've seen this movie before, and it always ends in disaster. Just ask the Soviet Union. Price controls led to the massive shortages of food and essentials. Here's the vice president.
Our country has come a long way since President Biden and I took office. Many Americans don't yet feel that progress in their daily lives. Costs are still too high. As president, I will take on the high costs that matter most to most Americans, like the cost of food. A loaf of bread costs 50% more today than it did before the pandemic. Ground beef is up almost 50%. I will work to pass the first ever federal ban on price gauging on food.
And if that didn't satisfy her communist cravings, Kamala is also proposing giving first-time homebuyers up to 25 grand, aka your hard-earned money, so that they can buy a house.
While we work on the housing shortage, my administration will provide first-time home buyers with $25,000 to help with the down payment on a new home. We can do this. We can do this. All to help more Americans experience the pride of home ownership and the financial security that it represents and brings. So that's my plan.
But you know you've crossed the line when the liberal Washington Post calls you a commie. Check out this headline they wrote. It says, quote, when your opponent calls you communist, maybe don't propose price controls. And even CNN's calling it a gimmick.
First of all, nobody can explain what price gouging means. You've seen this kind of thing tried in lots of other countries before. Venezuela, Argentina, the Soviet Union, etc. It leads to shortages. It leads to black markets. Specific way this bill is written might actually increase prices.
Reasonable people would ask, what does that mean? What does that really mean? And how is the government going to be involved in it? Is this just a ploy? Because it sounds kind of like it.
The following commentary is for criticism and parody reasons only. Yes, so after listening to the debate regarding Vice President Kamala Harris's economic plan, what do you think? Actually, she failed to address the issue of the illegal migrants. And so I find it quite comical that she would comment on the cost of living and mention about housing. Did she forget there's a crisis in the cities, sanctuary cities especially, in all cities now have been pretty much been impacted by this illegal migrant crisis. It appears that only legal migrants is benefiting off the taxpayer dollars at this time. So for her to talk about economic prosperity in the future and not what's actually taking place now is quite interesting. I'll say.
Partnering with Mobility Capital Finance to launch a more cost-effective program. Right now, the city has contracts with food services who provide non-perishable food boxes to shelters. They will start with 500 migrant families with children in short-term hotel stays. The cards can only be used at bodegas, grocery stores, supermarkets, and convenience stores.
We're just giving this migrant population more free stuff at the expense of New York City taxpayers.
In a statement, the mayor's office says, in part, quote, not only will this provide families with the ability to purchase fresh food of their culturally relevant diets and the baby supplies of their choosing, but the pilot program is expected to save New York City more than $600,000 per month or more than $7.2 million annually.
I'm not going to be thankful that a program that was bloated and inefficient is somehow cheaper to just give away free free money to people in the hopes that they feed themselves.
According to the New York Post, this pilot program will cost the city $53 million. The amount loaded on the card will depend on the family size.
They're deflecting attention away from their incompetency. And they're not holding accountable the people that had prior contracts.
Paramalu is with artists, athletes, and activists. He says the Adams administration is setting up the migrants for failure.
Purchasing food at the supermarket is not cheap anymore. And on top of that, they don't have kitchens. So how are they going to purchase the food that they want?
The families who get these credit cards will be required to sign an affidavit swearing they will only use them for food or baby supplies. Those who violate the terms could be kicked out of the program.
Hello world. Yes. Did everyone watch Vice President Kamala Harris's economic plan? Yes, it was quite entertaining. Yes, she states that she's laser focused and that she's going to offer the opportunity for people to have economic security and dignity. And she says the way that she's going to do this is through her opportunity economy plan. And so whatever that means, that buzzword she used, again, opportunity economy. She says she's going to introduce a federal ban on price gauging on food, and she's going to offer $25,000 to the first-time home buyers. Now, these two offers are quite comical. She talks about the high cost of food and mentions that this occurred prior to the pandemic. I'm sorry, wasn't she and President Joe Biden in office, and are they not still in office? Again, that's Kamala. It's Kamala. That's Kamala. Yes, using word salad again. And again, she'll state the obvious and will never offer any solutions to the problem. However, it's quite comical. She again would mention about home ownership. She's never mentioned about the crisis that's taking place with the immigration. And unfortunately, she fails to realize that I think at this time people are least concerned with buying a home due to safety reasons in this country. I would hate to be a first-time home buyer, buy a home, and the next thing I know, there's illegal immigrants sitting on my front lawn. They may be in my house. Due to such lax security or safety. That's, again, I guess one of the reasons she said we citizens should be scared on The View. She did make that comment on that show. But that's her economic plan, and as she stated, she's laser focused, and she calls her plan opportunity economy. Let me know what you think of the buzzword, and that's what Kamala Harris is offering to the citizens.